Welcome to Spooky News for December 20th, 2019. This is our final Spooky News for before Christmas, and as you can tell, we're a bit festive around here. Uh, you know what? It may seem odd to combine Christmas and spooky, but as I've been talking about in some of these segments before, that's actually a modern development. Spooky stories have always been a part of the Christmas celebration in a lot of countries, and for a long, long time. So, it just goes together. So while you're celebrating your holiday, remember to keep it spooky. This is just a reminder that Spooky Ventures in general, and particularly our Spooky Ventures YouTube channel, is interactive. Please leave comments, share videos, like them, uh, send us a message, and let us know what we're doing that you like. Let us know what you'd like to see us do. As long as it's spooky, we're interested. And let us know if you've got some video you'd like to share. If you think you'd like to participate in creating some video, that would be great. We're always interested in new stuff, and it's interactive, folks. Let everybody you know about Spooky Ventures. You don't often hear of UFO damage to houses, and I'm not sure how you file a insurance claim on that. But there's a resident in Perth, Australia area that who says that her home was damaged by a UFO when it briefly crashed, and it damaged the roof of her home. There were other people apparently who reported the UFO though. So have a look at the article in the Daily Mail, I believe. I'll be including the link here, and see what you think about all that. Was her roof really damaged by a UFO? I guess we'll never really know, but at least you can come up with some ideas about it yourself. There's a new article that just surfaced about a UFO encounter in California. Um, and the encounter actually happened in October, but it's just starting to trend again. And there's an article that's just come out about it. Apparently, over 100 witnesses saw this thing, and there was a lot of video shot. One of the beautiful things about people having all these phones now is you can get a lot of video. I'm not sure what quality, I didn't know. You don't get the best quality from these phones, but at least there's a lot of video cameras out there. So have a look at the article, see what you think. They've got some pictures, video, links, stuff like that. You can have a look and form your own opinions about this supposed UFO encounter in California. My London News has an article about a ghost at an underground station. That I'm guessing most of you know that's what they call subways in England. It's the Ickenham station, and apparently there's a ghost woman who is seen by uh, subway riders every Christmas time. And that's the only time of year this ghost is ever seen, so she is a Christmas ghost. It's a cool little article about it, the history, and all that kind of thing. So if you want some holiday spooky, be sure and check out the article on My London News. I'll have the link in the details section of this video. There's a creepy story about a woman in Sydney, Australia, who just sold her home because of how haunted it was. Apparently, there were all kinds of incidents with children waking up with scratches on their legs and all kinds of other horrific things frightening her and her children in the home. So she finally just gave up on it and sold it. Um, Pretty interesting article. You can have a look at that. I'll share it in the details section. And don't forget, you also get it. It'll say source, give you the website, and then the headline for the article, so you can just go to their website and search for it. Seems to work better to put that in these videos than to try to put some long URL in there. But yeah, have a look at that article. It's pretty creepy stuff. Apparently, there have been a rash of ghost sightings of a tall ghost in, quote, fancy dress being seen in a town called Scunthorpe in England along a road. Kind of an interesting article in a publication called Grimsby Live, so I'll share that. They talk about some of the witness accounts and things like that. So you could have a look at the article. The Daily Star has an article about a number of roads in England and how you can find them on Google. And these roads are supposedly some of England's most haunted roads, and they claim that the ghosts on the roads have actually caused car crashes and things. So if you're going to be in England and you want to drive down some roads that are supposed to be pretty creepy, be sure to check out the article so you know what to look for on Google Maps. Last week we talked about a Christmas haunted attraction in Indiana. Well, Rantoul, Illinois has its own. I'm hoping this is going to become a thing. Basically, it sounds like they went and, which is what I think happened with the one in Indiana too, is they run one through Halloween season, and then they just retool it to have some holiday themes, but it's still every bit as scary and spooky and all that, and you get to go through there like I've talked about a lot, even in the intro to this video. Um, we the whole tradition of spooky Christmas is actually a really old tradition. It's just sort of went into hiding for a while, and it seems to be coming back, which is a good thing. I'd like to see a return to that kind of stuff. Have you been watching Ghost Nation on Travel Channel? Well, if so, you're probably going to be pleased to find out that they've just given it a green light for a second season. So if you like that show, that means you'll be having more coming your way. Keep your eyes on the Travel Channel for Ghost Nation. Well, I talked about this a while ago. I mean, quite a while ago, months ago. I'm a big Doctor Who fan, and so when you have Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss involved with a project, it gets some interest from me. Then when you add in that it's an adaptation of Dracula, I'm even more interested. So those two have done a series or mini series on Dracula that's going to be coming to Netflix in January. So keep your eyes open. I understand it's a period piece. Not sure how faithfully it follows the book or if it even attempts to do that. But if those guys are involved, it ought to be pretty interesting. I've talked about the series Ghost Stories that's coming to Netflix. It's a horror anthology series, which there's a rich history of those, um, going way back to the early days of television. In fact, you could even say that a lot of the old radio shows fall into that, particularly some of them that I post on our YouTube channel and create videos of. They're certainly a horror anthology series. So it's a tradition that goes back pretty far. In any event, there's a brand new trailer for this new one. Um, be sure to check that out. It's pretty cool stuff. You know, you should enjoy the trailer, I think, if you like spooky things. Guillermo del Toro has a new movie coming out. It doesn't actually hit theaters until April, but there's a brand new trailer out for it. The movie's called Antlers, and it's based on the legend of the Wendigo, so that should be interesting stuff. Stephen King's The Dark Half is getting a new video or a new movie edition. There was an old one that was done by George Romero, but this new one is going to be going into filming pretty soon. It's in pre-production at the moment, so keep an eye out for The Dark Half. Well, everybody knows about my love of lists. There's a new list out of the 10 best Christmas horror movies from Screen Rant, and you've got they lumped both versions of Black Christmas together, which is kind of interesting. Actually, my understanding is there's a third version that they didn't mention, but they mentioned the 1974 one and the new one. There's Gremlins, and one of my all-time favorites, Silent Night, Deadly Night, and quite a few other movies in the list. So be sure to have a look at that list and maybe find some movies to watch to celebrate the holiday spooky season. So apparently, some of the creators behind Game of Thrones are getting ready to put together an H.P. Lovecraft movie at Warner Brothers. Now, it's apparently based on a graphic novel or comic book series, which I have not seen, but my understanding is that it focuses on a fictionalized life of H.P. Lovecraft, where all of his creatures are actually real. So that could be pretty interesting. Particularly as a Lovecraft fanatic like myself, I'll be interested in seeing that. I love all the new interest in Lovecraft. That's pretty cool. There's a rapper named Quavo. I'm not sure how it's supposed to be pronounced, but in any event, apparently he's got a new horror film he's moved into. Hey, musicians move into movies all the time. You got Rob Zombie is a classic example, and particularly horror. Horror seems like a good gateway toward filmmaking in a lot of ways because you can get it done and create a really pretty good horror flick for a fairly low budget for a movie. So, in any event, this gentleman has a new horror movie out, going to be coming out, called The Resort. We don't know a ton about it other than the fact that he did it and it's going to be coming out, and that's the title. So, keep your eyes open for The Resort. There's a new collection for fans of Phantasm. It's a Blu-ray collection called the Phantasm Sphere Collection, and I think it goes for about $100. It has all the Phantasm films on Blu-ray. Comes in a nice box and even includes a replica of the Sphere. So if you're a big fan of Phantasm movies, personally I'm a big fan of the first movie, not so much the later ones, but if you're a big fan of the series, you might want to get out and get that. There's a new list from Men's Health about the 13 horror movies that are coming out in 2020 that are most anticipated. It includes a remake of The Grudge, a remake of Candyman, the newest Purge movie, which is as of yet untitled. You can have a look at the whole list. I'll be sharing that for you and see if you're looking forward to any of these. I hadn't heard of some of them myself. If you haven't already checked it out, don't forget we have a brand new video review out just a couple days ago of the classic 1974 horror movie Black Christmas. So have a look at that. There's a brand new trailer for a new, upcoming horror movie from A24 called Saint Maud, and it looks pretty darn creepy. So be sure to have a look at that trailer. There are no new horror movies opening this weekend, but next Wednesday, which is Christmas, is Rod Serling's birthday. So always keep an eye on the Spooky Ventures calendar for lots of dates like that. We got some birthdays and horror movie opening dates and things like that up there. And that's a wrap for this edition of Spooky Ventures. Be sure to keep an eye on the Spooky Ventures channel on YouTube and check out the website. Don't forget, we've got a great calendar that lists all kinds of spooky stuff coming up. And next week will be the final edition before the end of the year, so it'll be the final one for the year. So that'll be interesting, and we'll be heading into a new spooky year at Spooky Ventures. So keep it spooky. Spooky Ventures is the home for spooky content and spooky merchandise on the web. Check it out today at spookyventures.com. And remember, always keep it spooky.